I've been a huge fan of Offset for years, and recently when I was running my Atlanta producer camp, my boy Woot brought Jay Rich to the house, who's Offset's main engineer, and I got to chop it up with him and make that connection in person, and he told me to send him beats for Offset. So in today's video, I'm going to be cooking up a pack of beats for Offset 100% from scratch, melody, drums, everything, and bring you guys along the process of cooking up inside of the industry. And at the end of the video, I'm going to send the pack off and hopefully get a song with Offset out of it. But anyways, let's hop into it. So like I said, I've been tapped in with Jay Rich for a while, and last I heard from him, Offset and Gunna were working on their collab album together, and I've also been getting a ton of my producer homies reaching out and asking for stuff for this album, so I want to cook up some beats that would be perfect for that. And for the first beat, I wanted to go for something that's hard but still has that kind of wavy Gunna Offset sound that they've been on in recent years with songs like Proud of Them, Different Species, and all those kind of records. One of the first things I do whenever I'm cooking up something for someone specific is I'll just look up songs like that I like the vibe of, that I want to cook something up like, and I'll look up the BPM so that I get an idea of like what kind of range of BPMs I should be using. So this Say My Grace by Offset and Travis Scott is one of my favorite songs by Offset, 61 BPM. Let's see, another song that I like is Proud of Them at 122 BPM. So this 120 BPM range sound seems like it's going to be working well for this. He also did a song recently with Gunna called Different Species, I don't know, 125. So yeah, I think this like 120-ish BPM, because I want to do something that's a little bit like a more hard energy. I feel like Offset and Gunna have been on a bunch of wavy stuff recently, so I want something that's not too like crazy hard, but a little bit more hard and not like so melodic. And I really like the brass on Say My Grace, so I'm going into my melody mastery kit right here, because that has a ton of live brass starters. So these are actual like live recordings that I did with a brass player, and this one is so sick. So I'm just gonna go click through these actually and choose a bunch of different ones and see if I can like mix them together to make something unique. I'm just gonna go through and listen to these and try to listen for parts that I like. This part I really like. I feel like this is like the main that I should open with. It sounds super big. I feel like this could be a bridge section, or like yeah, maybe just something like that. Let's put that after. Yeah. I feel like this for an even later section. This is the main section. Maybe use that for the hook and stuff. Make a verse section that's a little bit more chill. Actually, low-key half speed that too. Maybe we take this and put like some delay and reverb on it. So I like this idea a lot, but I do feel like these like super upfront brass kind of get played out. So I want to make it less recognizable that it's brass. Yeah, because this keeps the same melody. It's like playing the same thing, but it has the reverse effect. This feels more unique and more like I could actually add some other sounds to it, not just like put some drums on it and call it a day. Sometimes I like mixing in the forward elements with like the reversed as well, so it doesn't sound too reverse and like just like a mess of sound. So I might use that. I feel like I could use a little reverb though. Alright, and then let's pitch these maybe up 7, Loki. Low-key, I might put that reverse effect on this as well. Low-key, before I go crazy on the melody, I like to test sometimes like where the 808 notes are sitting, because sometimes the melody sounds good, but every 808 note that you put on it is either too high or too low, depending on the octave. But low-key, I feel like this works. So I'm going to go into the Sonic Mastery, which is the Melody Mastery bank as well. And then we're going to drown that in effects later to really get it there. But I kind of want to do a call and response. Like this one's perfect. It's literally called Art Me. And then what I'm going to do right now to make this sound more like an art, because right now it sounds just more like a little lead line that I put in, is I'm going to speed this up by like 4 times and also pitch it up. Let's see what that sounds like. Definitely has like a cooler kind of texture to it right now. And then what I like to do is I like to chop it back. So we sped it up 4 times. So now we essentially sped up the MIDI by 4 times. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the audio back to where it was. So it's playing in the same timing kind of, but just sped up. Alright, and now I'm gonna grab my ToneFlux plugin. Let's just distort this. I want this to have like an analog kind of feel to it. So a good way to get that when you're using VSTs, because they have a super clean digital sound, is to distort it quite a bit. And then also I take the resampler on my plugin and I just cut off some of the high ends so it doesn't sound so pristine and perfect. That alone brings it from this. That sounds a lot more analog. You could also take the width and move it down so it's mono. Or even just like a little bit mono. And then I might also just put in a super simple delay on this one. I don't want to do too much with the delay, but I want it to be like a high feedback. Maybe every half note. This is hard. One thing that's really sick about my plugin is this instability and drift right here. So you can hear it pretty well in the delay. Listen to how the delay will randomly like detune and go out of time, get like unstable. You kind of hear it there. If I turn the instability up all the way, you can really hear. Let's add that in there. And maybe add in this tape. Low-key, this tremolo is fire too. Woo, shit. Maybe something like this where we start with that brass starter and then this like ARP is kind of sounds too crowded with that. So just create a new section. Low-key, let's try to put down some synth chords. So we're kind of playing the same main chord like over and over. Let me low key. What does it sound like? Speed this up. This with some house beat. Actually, I like that high. And then maybe a little resampler. Cut off that. Cut off that super hand. Yeah, this one sounds better. Alright, I think it's time we bounce this out and bring it into FL. Before we get into the drums on this beat, I just want to give you guys one quick tip. I've said this before in multiple videos, but you need to be leveraging your ideas. So like I mentioned earlier, I've been getting asked by a lot of people for loops for this album, and I feel like a lot of producers would just sit down and make these beats, send the beats off to the engineer, and that would be it. But what you should do is you should be capitalizing off of all your opportunities. So I'm going to send the finished beats out, and then I'm also going to send the samples out to producers who are going to flip them in a completely different way, who are also sending for that project. And now I've just multiplied my chances. I can also take the FLP, the project file to the beat, send that to people, they can tweak it, add their stuff, and send it out on their end as well. And working like this is how I've been able to get so many placements, which by the way, I've had over 80 songs drop this year in 2025 alone, and they all come from different connections. Some are sample packs, some are FLPs, some are my drums. Anyways, let's dive into the drums for this one. I think the first thing I want to do is mess with the pitch. I kind of liked it pitched up 1 whenever I was in that project file. So let's just pitch this whole thing up 1. And then actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the drum mastery folder and I'm going to go to the trap project templates. And I think I'm going to grab, low-key, I'm going to grab the Memphis template. So what this is going to do is it's going to open up all of the drum sounds pre-selected and also pre-mixed. But anyways, let's get into this. I might just do something simple like that. Offset could go with a more aggressive snare, but if I'm thinking about Gunna too, I feel like Gunna likes wavy stuff, so I don't want to go too harsh. Honestly, like maybe one more sound. I think this triangle will be fire on like each second snare, maybe. And then a bass or a 808. That's the beat right there. I'll play all the finished beats at the end of this video, but real quick before that, every single kit of mine is on Black Friday sale right now, which is up to 80% off right now. But if you're lucky enough to see this on the actual day of Black Friday, there's an extra 60% off with the code Friday. So you're gonna get up to 80% off and then 60% off of that discounted price. So if you need really high quality sounds that aren't just half-assed just to put out new packs every week, make sure you check out that first link in the description and get them while they're dirt cheap. Anyways, let's cook up the second beat. For this next one, I think I want to grab some guitar and try to do some wavy guitar kind of stuff. So I'm just going to mess around on the guitar right now before I record it in the computer, come up with some kind of progression I like. I think that's the progression I want to go with. All right, I think we got enough with that. One thing I like to do whenever I'm tracking guitars is I like to record everything twice so that I can have one guitar pan left and one right, and it just makes it sound a lot more full compared to whenever it's just mono. It sounds a lot more stereo. Bounce each guitar stem down, and then I'm gonna get one recording in time and then match the other one. All right, bounce that. I want to do something on the synths, and I really like to use my Moog Matriarch to do accents, and it's really easy to do it in the key of E flat minor. I'll show you why in just a second. So I'm going to transpose this into E flat minor. Now let's head over to the Moog Matriarch. Alright, so to get some really cool ear candy going on the Moog Matriarch, what we're going to want to pay attention to is this right here. This is the delay. So when this is turned off, this is what the synth sounds like. Right? It still sounds nice. And then also, you want to make sure that the cutoff is pretty low, because this is really harsh. And I'm going for like a smooth, wavy kind of vibe right now. So turn the cutoff down. I like to put it on this far left setting right here. And then right here, what we want to do is we want to have the mix pretty high on the delay, and then also the feedback normally is at 0, right? So you want the feedback to be really high. This is how much the delay is actually repeating. So it'll just keep getting louder as the feedback. So if you have that feedback, not that loud, but pretty loud, like right here, the delay just lives on forever and ever, and it brings this really cool vibe. Right? That sounded like a nice little ear candy accent. And then what you can do is you can start to move all this while you're playing. So I'm just going to mess around on the keyboard and just mess around with those parameters whenever I get the opportunity to. So and another thing you want to do is you want to put your melody into the key of E flat minor, because then you can just do cool slides like this. let's listen with the guitar and see what we can come up with. All right, so now we got all the main elements down on the melody. I think that I just want to thicken it up a little bit. A lot of these like Gunna, Turbo, and Offset kind of beats recently have had a live bass line in it. So I think the first thing I want to do is go to Contact really quick and pick up the Scarby Rickenbacker bass and then just lay down a quick little bass line on that. And this preset right here, it's called Dub Bass right there. Sounds super good for like these smooth kind of vibes. And I also feel like on these Gunna Offset kind of vibes, a piano or an electric piano sounds super, super smooth. So I'm going to go into this digital keys right here. I love this preset right here. So I'm just going to go in here and click in the chord progression that we've been playing, which is super, super simple. It's just this E flat minor. And then it goes down 2 notes to this major chord right here. I might move some of these notes down an octave just to make it sound a little bit more rich. Lower the velocity on some of these a little bit. It's kind of harsh. Now I think we just add effects and this is done. One thing I like doing is adding a chorus onto these mono layers to make it feel more stereo. And then I can also mess with this width knob right here. This is actually the same sound layered on top of each other, so I feel like I want to process this one way differently. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is put a super heavy delay on this. And then I might make this mono so that it contrasts the other one. Maybe even pitching the whole thing up an octave. Let's see what that sounds like. Ooh, that's hard. All right, let's export this and bring it into FL to do some drums. So to start this off, I'm gonna go in and just open another project template from here. I'm gonna open up the ATL template. Maybe do a rim. I feel like it would work nice for like this like wavy vibe. And then let's speed this up to like 135 maybe. Maybe mess with the pitch again. And then pitch it down. Yeah, this is hard. Nice little sub-8 right there. One more quick tip before we get into this third beat. Whenever you're cooking up in the industry, especially, you don't want anything to sound too close to any one song that the artist has already released. So for example, I could take the idea of a synth ARP from one song, mix that with the idea of a guitar progression from another song, with the live bass of a different song, and let's say the brass of a different song, and combine all that into something new. And this is actually something that I did on the third beat that we're about to cook up now. So let's get into it. All right, for this beat off camera, I just got a little bit of a starter going. I've kind of been trying to cater to this whole like wavy Gunna Offset kind of album. But for this beat, I want to do some hard shit, honestly. Songs like Clout with this dark piano. And I also really like the beats on Set It Off, especially the drums on this song, Hop Out the Van. I think I want to do something like that. So just super like stop and go sub kind of stuff. And then this one has a nice piano too.
Hop in the track called Slide.
So I've got this simple little piano idea that I put down in Keyscape. And then I ended up putting on my Tone Flex plugin onto this to kind of create like this weird texture in the background that's like reversed and distorted. And I like this, but I kind of want that main piano to sound a little bit more interesting. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Contact. There's this super fire bank called Golden Age Grand that has these really like detuned kind of pianos, which is going to be perfect for this dark vibe. Yeah, this is nice. Let me try just messing with this a little bit inside of my Tone Flex plugin too. Might be a little too much going on with like detune. Let's mess with this preset a little bit more. Yeah, this is fire. And I think I want to do one like top line kind of melody with it. Something like this, like a... I think I played it good that first time, so let's just quantize that. Yeah, something like that. And then the cloud piano has this like nice little delay on it. So let's go into the Tone Flex plugin. I think the next thing I want to do is go into my melody mastery kit and try to find some sort of dark violin phrase similar to the one that you can hear on Big Dog, because I really like that vibe. I love this phrase right here. This shit's crazy. Maybe this half sped. Maybe this half sped as well. Something dumb simple like that. Throw in a little tubular bell here. Stem this out real quick and let's get some drums going. All right, so I just opened up this Memphis trap template again. This one's just my favorite, I'm not gonna lie. So now let's just go in and drag in this loop. And then right now, I feel like I might want to move the BPM around. I'm not sure yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the BPM of those songs that we liked earlier, because I feel like that's the best way to just get the right bounce going. It's at 129. I'm feeling like 130-ish is going to be the right kind of vibe. Clout is 130. It says 140 right here, so I don't know. That one's a lot faster. I'm feeling like 134 sounds like a good number. And then low key, I want this just a little slower. Honestly, I'm feeling a little lazy right now, so I'm just gonna go in and grab this hi-hat MIDI. I want to kind of add in a little bit of that Southside influence. Just at the end, a nice little roll might be cool. Yeah, it's hard. The workflow with these fucking templates is just too good. Kind of want to go for like an OZ-esque bounce, like the hop out the Van drums. Maybe something like this where it's like... I think the last thing I want to do is I want to go into my Mini Stash 3 kit. It's got a bunch of these like Memphis vocals that I did. That was kind of fire. Let's try dragging that in. Let's try pitching it down too. Kind of like the ones on Hop Out the Van. I definitely want to chop this up. Like, I like this busted trigger part. Something like this. And we can even chop that. Honestly, I think just this like 2 bars repeating over and over. Let's go right here and right here. And that's pretty much it for the finished beat. Before I play these finished beats, quick reminder that all these drum sounds that you heard and most of the sounds and the melodies are all from my kits that are up to 80% off right now. I know I sound like a broken record saying this, but click that link in the description. I promise you won't regret picking something up, especially when it's 20% of the normal price. But anyways, let's hear these beats. So I've got all 3 of those beats put into the pack right now. And honestly, I really like this one right here. I feel like this is really going to fit the Gunna and Offset collab album because it has that harder kind of energy that Offset needs, but it's also not too hard. Like this Huntin' one, this last one that we just made is a little aggressive for Gunna. And obviously this is a super light beat pack, only 3 beats. So what I do is I grab a bunch of collab beats that my Discord sends back. So I collect all the fire beats from my Discord server, which is free to join, by the way. And then I just go through these and I add the ones that are perfect into the pack. I also think this one would low-key be perfect. And then I just make sure to go in and put exclamation marks by the ones that I really think that they're gonna fuck with. Reason being, now those ones pop up at the top of the list. So if you were going through the pack, you're gonna hear these ones first. And actually a little bit of some super secret sauce that only the real ones who stayed all the way to the end are gonna know. Whenever I have something I really fuck with, I'll put the exclamation mark and I'll also put a space bar in front of it. And then no matter what is in their file browser, that will pop up at the very top. Just a space before the character and it'll be right there. I also like to put the name of the person that I'm sending these ideas to on the folder, just so it feels a little bit more personal and not just like some mass sent out thing to everybody in the whole industry. So I'm just gonna drag that into Dropbox. So boom, I'm just gonna put it in the text thread. And then typically I like to go back into the folder and just grab the ones that I like the best and then just put those as MP3 attachments, so they don't need to go through the Dropbox and listen through all those before they can actually tell which beats they like. They could just listen to the best ones right there, and then if they like that, they can go in and listen to all the beats. But yeah, pack sent off. Hopefully we get one out of this. I'm waiting for the day that one of these cook up videos where I'm cooking up a pack ends up getting placed, because I feel like that would be crazy. But that's all I got for today. I'll see you guys. Peace.